Celtics Late Night. We are here. Sam LaFrance. How's it going?
I've had better days. Nothing worse than getting your time wasted by your favorite team, right?
Yeah, they did it to us. They did it to us. I am torn. Ben was like, I would have preferred the blowout as opposed to what we went through. The title really has changed my perspective on things a little bit. I don't know. Or like how I feel about things. Like I was kind of able to enjoy the fact that it was probably going to be a fake comeback. It didn't feel like it was going to be a fake comeback once we got really into the. Did we ever take the lead? I don't think we ever took the lead.
I think they had a lead in overtime. Because when I was looking, I wrote a little write-up for Celtics blog, and I was looking at the game chart, and there was like the smallest green line in the game chart in overtime. So I think they did take a lead briefly. But I hear you. Like it was,
Yes,
if nothing else, it was for great content.
We were up 2 with 40 seconds to go.
Oh.
Actually, that makes it worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes it worse.
Yeah. Then maybe we'll just start here. So D. White hits the driving layup, which was awesome.
Yep.
And then Siakam comes back the other end, hits the fadeaway over Jaylen to tie it. 37 seconds left. Timeout. You think like Scal's yelling about the 2-for-1, which I do think that kind of goes out the window when it's like obviously
hit or miss.
Yeah. Like I think valuing a good shot there is more important because so obviously everyone's going to kill Tatum for taking that shot, which we can do, but how much of it is that's a bad shot, or we want to try and get the 2-for-1 off? And he's kind of doing the Missoula like game plan. I'm sure Missoula wasn't saying like you have to take a 3 in order to do the. It says right here, Jason Tatum, 27-foot step back 3-pointer, which I know is your favorite.
Those might be the scariest words that you can read off the screen, actually.
Yeah, so like it was a bad shot, especially when it felt like, and he did it over Isaiah Jackson, and they had been killing them with the Derek White Tatum 2-man game, which I didn't really feel like they got to. They had subbed out Halliburton, and put in Ben Shepherd. So, like, you couldn't go at specifically Halliburton. But they still had Ben Shepherd out there. And they still had Obi Toppin out there. And they still had TJ McConnell out there. And you end up going, like, shooting a step back over Isaiah Jackson, who's, like, he's a good defender. He's, like, a quickie. And he got a good contest on it, too. Like, Tatum didn't get a clean look at it. So, I think it's very fair to question the shot selection in that moment. And then, obviously, Siakam comes back down the other end and hits the 3 in D. White's face.
I hate a step back 3 from Tatum. I will say this about 2-for-1 in overtime. It does make sense because you're trying to make sure you have at least a chance to tie the game, which they did end up having. The problem was you don't necessarily bank on the Pacers making a 3 because when the Pacers make the 3, then you have to play scared because they might foul you and you can't get 3 points from 2 free throws. And it becomes a whole problem, and the 2-for-1 essentially goes away. I don't love the 2-for-1 when it results in them just rushing and taking a bad shot. With that being said, in this situation, they didn't really have to take the shot they took, kind of like we talked about. Like, they had plenty of things they could have went to. Tatum didn't have to take a step back 3, and that's where it comes into the nitpick. The real problem in overtime was they missed 3 free throws. Lose a game by 3 after you miss 3 overtime free throws. It's enough to put your head in the microwave. I think you're just like, I think I'm cooked today, man. Just what a lousy way to lose a game.
So overtime, 8 points, 2 for 9, 1 for 6 from 3, 3 for 6 from the free throw line. It's brutal. Like then the free throws are the worst part, and like I can't forgive Jaylen, I guess, for missing the free throws. Like he has but I know I can't. But it's not his thing. It's almost like I'm more upset with Tatum for missing the going 1 for 2 because he's the better free throw shooter, and I feel like he can make free throws when he needs to. But then I'm like, well, he did fucking make 12 out of his 15 free throws at 80%. So it's hard for me to be too hard on him for the missed free throws. But that was the most important one. You're the best player. Got to make your free throws. late there.
in the big spots.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to do like, because there's definitely negatives and positives. Like Joe Mazzulla in the presser was like, there's two ways to look at this one. Clearly, the Celtics came out and he said exactly what we were saying in the playback was, we're a step slow to the ball. And that was so true all night long. We were a step slow to loose balls, step slow to rebounds, step slow, just like not finishing layups. Like how many layups did we miss in the first half in particular? Like we were 8 for 24 from 3, so 33%. Not that, like, it's not good, but it's not that bad. But you were 19 for 51, 37% from the field. I can't do the math on that, but like that's really bad from 2-point range. Like as a whole, you're shooting below 40% from 2 as well. And that was the real problem. Especially, that's how you went down 20, it felt like.
That's something Jack and I have kind of kicked around through the first couple games here, where the Celtics have not really been great from within the arc. The Bucks game was the exception. Even when they were losing in the first half, I think they shot like 60% from inside the 3-point line, which is pretty good by their standards this year. And then the second half, obviously, Jaylen kind of wins them the game by being a bully and going in the paint and then taking the fallaways after bumping guys at the free throw line. Could have used some makes at the rim today. Even ones that were fouls, the and ones, they just seem to roll right off the rim. And you can't even get like too mad at that because they are getting hacked, but like it almost felt more like a they can't get a bounce thing than, oh my God, man, they missed another layup, at least when the fouls were involved. Now they did miss just a ton of shots at the rim and you were just scratching your head like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why is this all going on? Why can you not just convert after you did everything right to get to this spot?
There is a tendency to be like, what is wrong? And this is a good comment from the real Daryl in the chat. Boston was never going 82-0. They'll win their next two and nobody will care about Wednesday's loss to Indiana. Like, yeah, most likely the Celtics are going to be 10-2. They're going to be winning 80% of their games. They're going to be on track to win. They are currently on pace to win 65 games as we sit here today. So very good. But yeah, so it's tempting to be like, do they need to go to the rim more? Or do they need to be better from 2? Like, yes, they need to be better from 2. But yeah, like they haven't had issues finishing layups historically. Like, hasn't been a problem wasn't really a problem in the playoffs. Wasn't a problem. Nothing has been a problem now for 19 games in the playoffs, 5 games plus 82. Again, can't do that math off the top of my head, but we're looking at over 100 games here where there hasn't been much that has been a problem. So I'm not going to get like freaked out by, especially Jaylen. I mean, we'll talk about him. We'll just talk about him now, I guess. But like, he's especially been garbage from the 2-point line, 2-point range to start the season. Like to 11 for 30 tonight. That's he ended up kind of coming back a little bit, similar to the Bucks game late, but 1 for 11 from 3 turnovers. Yeah, pretty brutal from Jaylen, 2-point range this year.
I know there's the Karan Butler quote about shooting, or is it Deion Waiters? I think it's Deion Waiters. And it's like, I'd rather be like 0 of 10 than 0 of 5 because it means you stop shooting. But like,
sure.
I'm not convinced you should ever get to 1 of 11 from 3. I think after a while you should start like to be like, yeah, maybe these aren't for me today. Even though I will say the Jaylen threes that came in overtime were pretty good looks. They just weren't going in. Like, he got a lot of catch and shoot looks. It wasn't like he was forcing them up. It was in the flow of the offense, and it's the shot that you want the Celtics to create. It is just exactly what Mazzulla ball is for. That's why they play that way. The problem is he clearly did not have it tonight. And I don't know if you want to put that on Joe for having him out there at the end of the overtime period, because like especially when you had a timeout, but you can't like bench your star either, because then you get the Scottie Pippen crybaby Tony Kukoc moment in a regular season game that ultimately won't mean anything, like they said in the chat. But man, I really want to see Jaylen bounce back because he is an important part of this team, and he looked really good in the Bucks game. And I thought we were kind of back on the right track with him. Not what you want to see. Not what you want to see at all. One thing I will say about this game is it really turned on its head when the Celtics were the ones running. and the Pacers actually had to try and create shots because
Yes.
they kind of melted when it was time for the
Oh, yeah.
Pacers to try and do anything in the fourth quarter. When they weren't getting free buckets in transition, they looked like they were playing college football and they had the stadium pulse all the way up.
Yeah, the Pacers they got the bed shitting gene in them. Like they in the series against the Celtics, every game the Celtics came back late in that series except for game 2. And tonight, man, they were falling apart. Like the Matherin at the top of the key and the steal that the Celtics had, like the game was out of reach for a long time. Like they were at a point where the Celtics essentially needed to play perfect in order to get this game to overtime. So yeah, Jaylen being out there at the end, I'm torn because clearly he was not going to make that shot. But on the other hand, like, was Joe Mazzulla trying to conjure up some game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals magic? You know, like I was like, well, could he just do it again? Because the shot that he missed tonight was a much easier shot than he airballed it too. He wasn't even close.
You could feel the relief come from the Pacers fans that were there.
Yeah.
You know, they saw Jaylen take the shot and they were like, no, not again. Yeah. Please, no. And he didn't hit anything. Didn't even hit the rim. Now that I think about it, I just don't think it's realistic to have benched him. It just would have been a really bad talking point from this game. It would have been very off-brand for Joe, who is the biggest I trust you guy ever. Like, he loves to support his guys, and that would be a clear sign of being unsupportive or not trusting him. And you just have to trust your stars, I suppose.
Yeah, look, he did bench Drew and Al. And so I think part of why Jaylen stayed out there was he was actually on the court when it started to turn around. And I don't think that was... Yeah. I wonder, it's going to be hard to know, if Jaylen had been on the bench because I don't think Jaylen was really part of the turnaround. I mean, obviously he contributed, but Queta and Walsh happened to be a plus 12 in the second half as well. But Queta, Pritchard, I would love to know what the lineup was when they really made their run.
It was Queta, Jaylen, Jason, Pritchard, White.
Yeah. Yes. So I think and Jaylen was 4 for 8 from the field in the fourth quarter. So, he was in very much a part of the comeback as well. So maybe that's why that he didn't bench Jaylen, because he did bench Drew and he did bench Al, which I think was absolutely the right call to bench Drew. Al was playing fine tonight, but Queta was clearly came in immediately and completely changed the game, because that's what the game needed was energy. It feels so silly to just be we needed someone to come in and just try really hard.
Someone actually care.
Someone to care the most. And it was Queta. And that's the reason he's in the NBA right now, is because he's a 7'1" explosive athlete that has a good motor. And in a team, and against a team like Indiana that didn't even have Miles Turner tonight. I mean, in hindsight, obviously, you probably wanted to go to
Halliburton.
Didn't have fucking hell. What did Halliburton even end? Ended 7 for 19, 2 for 10 from 3.
Yeah.
You in hindsight probably wish you went to Queta earlier, but
who could have happened?
Hindsight.
If you said go to Queta in the third quarter, we would have been
sure,
yeah, give them some more free throws and let them see the ball go in and have them foul, right? It's an imperfect thing, but good for Nemi. I mean, that's a big get for him. That's probably going to buy him minutes in the next couple games in Charlotte and give him an opportunity to continue to prove himself. That's good for the team. I think maybe it was us that was kicking around, because when I said to Jack when we recorded, he looked at me like I had 10 heads. We were kicking around why even play him? He's the same as Cornette at this point. If you're bringing a big off the bench, Horford's been good, Luke's been good, and then why put in another Luke when you have Tillman? But it seems like they needed Queta's energy, which I guess Luke doesn't really play with energy. You don't really have the high ceiling with him. You just have it is going to be this. He's going to be solid, and you can trust him. Queta kind of is more of a wild card.
There was a period very early in the season last year where I was screaming at the TV constantly, Luke, please play like you're 7 foot tall. And it feels like he needs to listen to me again and Remember that he's 7 foot tall. Everybody in the playback, dude. So Luke ends the game 1 for 5. He did get to the line 6 times, but he like will get the ball and he's like kind of flipping it up. He's trying to like beat people like by quick shooting it, and he's missing because he's rushing those shots. I would love to see him just try and dunk on like these people at least one of these times. On anybody, dude. Like, I get that he doesn't have the biggest vertical leap or anything like that, but you can't be 1 for 5 on the types of shots that he was taking. And yeah, so I think he needs to like maybe, and it kind of coincided with Queta playing really well with on the road trip last year, where like Queta's best games last year were in like the Clippers and Sacramento Kings game on the road trip last year. And right after that, Cornette was like, I might lose my job. And he started playing like he was 7 foot tall. So I wonder, does Queta get rewarded with more minutes? Because Jordan Walsh got rewarded with more minutes tonight after playing well in the Bucks game. Jordan Walsh was very scared to do anything with the ball though. Like, but yeah, like, I don't know. Do you think Queta earned more minutes? Like, do we see more Queta in the Charlotte games now? Because I wouldn't say that Luke played well on opening night. Tillman has struggled, I would say, pretty consistently for what we've expected. And Queta played really well tonight. So Charlotte matchups, like Nick Richards, I'm trying to think whoever their other big men are off the top of my head. I think Grant will be there, but Mark Williams is injured at the moment, but could be a good Queta spot as well.
And not to mention, Phil makes a great point. Al's not playing in one of these games because it's back-to-back. So there's going to be even more minutes for these guys to come in and get their run. I mean, this is a great time for Neemias to build off of it. You make a great point, and last year you mentioned it, like Luke comes back, gets a start against the Pistons and has or the Raptors and has like a 20-point game. It was crazy.
Yeah, so Al?
Not great defensively in this game. Lot of guys making layups with him standing right next to him.
That's been a little bit of a trend so far, I think. The rim protection of the defense of the Celtics has not been good this year so far. They were 12th in the league coming in tonight. It feels worse than that because we're used to them having a top 5 defense. They were 2nd in defensive rating according to NBA.com last year. And Noah made a good point. Noah Dalzell on the Garden Report, like, those regular season stats include 57 games with Porzingis. And you talk about rim protection. Like, Porzingis was awesome. Like, I think that's probably the part that I even forget myself sometimes is like, he's so electric offensively, like just such a unicorn on that end. But despite being maybe only an inch taller than Luke Cornette, the level of rim protection and defensive impact are completely different worlds.
Yeah, the bounce and length is different. Like he doesn't have Rob athleticism, but he's closer to Rob than he is like, I don't want to say me, that's a bad example, but Luke. Yeah. I think he has like some really quick bounce. He gets up quick. He knows where to be. He's pretty decent as a roamer too, which the Celtics like to use. So that's going to be a great thing to have when he's back. But for now, you have to learn how to survive without that. If you could teach Neemias how to do it, might be kind of cool. Don't think I trust him, but there's going to be time for experimentation, which I'm sure the Celtics are going to do a lot of. Like, Joe Mazzulla is a scientist. He loves to try things and see how it works. And, how can we do this? I mean, Jaylen even came out before the season, was like, when we're playing a shit team, guess who's getting all the shots? Not me, Sam Hauser. Like, they try and get these guys going in the best ways that they know how. And maybe getting Neemias going is letting him roam and cook and get some blocks. Like, it could be huge for confidence on defense. That's where he really lacks, is his discipline. And tonight we saw him very disciplined, no fouls. But on another night, he could have 5 fouls in 13 minutes. We've seen it before.
I do think there is a universe out there where Queta is the better player than Luke Cornette eventually. Like, where you worry about Queta is like, the lack of instincts or too many instincts at times. Like, he's got that early career Rob syndrome, biting on pump fakes, and Cornette's just the quicker decision maker on offense. But there is definitely an argument to be made, and we're going to see it. Like, as we've just said, like the back-to-back I forgot about. We're not going to see Al in one of those games, which means we're going to see more Queta in at least that game. Like, the argument to be made for seeing more Queta because there is an upside with him athletically that you don't have with Tillman or Cornette. Like the dimensions on Queta are crazy. Like the way that he threw down just a lob, like that. Like Cornette can throw down lobs, but he was like head above the rim type of stuff, which is not something that Luke or Tillman are giving you. I was really impressed, man. Do you have a block? He had a really nice block as well. Like he's getting back and forth. I would like to. I've been known to be anti Queta, so I'm willing to put my hand up and be like, okay, I'm impressed, but let's see and let's see a little bit more.
Yeah, you're gonna need to see consistency. Like that's the big problem with him. I mean, he's only 24, and they clearly like him. They brought him back. They signed him to a multi-year deal. So this is maybe step one towards that longer Celtics career than maybe some of the other guys that are on the bench. And if Nemi's able to be Walmart Porzingis, at least on defense, then that's a big win for you. Like it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Like, yeah, you really forget. I mean, I don't forget, but I really like. Anytime you lose a game, you're like, or you play bad a little bit for a quarter and a half. It's like it'd be really nice if instead of Luke or Tillman or Queta coming in, it was Porzingis, or Porzingis was already out there and Al comes back in, and that's just the reality of the season right now. Despite seeing some of the incredibly encouraging footage of Porzingis over the last couple of days, we saw him running around pre-game in the Pacers game today. Like he's on all these road trips. I wonder if he just might pop up one day as questionable, which would be nice. I don't know. I think we probably should just talk about Tatum in general. So, yeah, go ahead.
He has an addiction. As somebody who's addicted to Xbox, like I can tell you what it's like to have an addiction. And nobody loves a step back three more than Tatum. Yeah. Made the one in regulation, felt like a prayer. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, let me test my luck. It was almost like the positives of making that shot do outweigh the negatives because it prolonged the game. But any other time that he makes a shot like that, you're like, now he's going to think he can do it. Now he's going to think it's going to go in every time. Now he thinks he's earned like 3 more of these. And they're usually just bad shots. They're usually not shots that are going to go in, and he's been hot to start the season. But even when he's made the threes I'm talking about, he has made the easy ones first. And we kind of threw this around in the playback. We talked about the Philly game 750 piece, and he got going by getting to the rim and seeing the ball go in that way. And tonight was just not a day where he saw the ball go in. He only ended up shooting 40% from the field, so it's not like the worst thing you've ever seen, but it's not really what he's been doing this season, even though he finished with 37 and he made the one to send it to overtime. Like, big respect for that. I think, maybe you're like, maybe it would be cool if he made the free throws in overtime too, both of them. Didn't need to see another step back three for him with the game on the line. It was.
Yes, he does have an addiction. He just it's like game 1 of the Knicks game was almost worse because he made all of his threes and he's like, I'm sure you've done this at the park or like at pickup or at an organized game before where you get hot for 3 for like an hour and a half.
Sure.
And you're like, am I a really good shooter now?
Should I go try out for the main Celtics?
Like, can I just shoot now? Like, I've had that thought so many times. I went 4 for 8 before I found that I had a stress fracture in my right ankle. And I was like, did I fix my jumper? I watched a YouTube video on Klay Thompson on form shooting. And he taught me that it was like, you want to do form shooting. You want to imagine it's a reverse waterfall top to bottom. And I started doing that. And I went 4 for 8 like that same week. And I'm like, am I now Klay Thompson? Next week, 2 for 10. Obviously. What are we doing? Which honestly, 2 for 10, I'll take that. Any day of the week at Rec League. That's the type of true shooting we're looking for. And Tatum's exactly the same. In opening night, he goes absolutely nuclear from 3 against Washington. He's 3 for 11. He goes 6 for 13 against the Pistons. And then tonight, though, 5 for 18. It all started in the first quarter, though. He's 1 for 6, which is six 3-point attempts in the first quarter is so many, dude. But he did settle down, and so he took only 2 3-point attempts in the second quarter, And in the second half, he was 3 for 6 from three. I can live with 6 3-point attempts. Obviously, he made the last one. But then in overtime, he took 4 threes in 5 minutes. And that was the only attempt. There was the only ones that he took. He didn't take a single shot. I mean, he took the 2 free throws, and he missed one of them. So he did get to the rim once. So 1 of 5. And I got into an argument with Swiper, the Nuggets, the Jokic fanboy on Twitter, because I can't help myself. But he's right. Like, Tatum took too many threes tonight. But Tatum also, like, I'm torn. Tatum took too many threes tonight. Tatum also had 37 points on 58% true shooting tonight because he got to the line 15 times. So, like, the box score does not reflect that he also, like, it only took 25 field goals. 18 of them were threes, but the free throws aren't counted as field goal attempts. So there's like 7 more field goals. So he's almost at like half threes, half twos.
Yeah.
And that shot profile actually isn't that bad. It's just that he actually took like 35 shots, which we're not used to seeing at all. It's too many threes, but 37 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. Like, I thought he was the best defender tonight still, and he's been the best defender on the team for the entire season so far. Like, he's really been the only one. He was the only one tonight of the starters that I thought, like, impacted the game defensively. So I can't be too mad.
It's true. I mean, other guys had their moments, but, like,
sure.
Listen, Derek White, like, I think he deserves an apology for the rest of the guys, but also he wasn't good at defense for the first
just so weird
half at least. So
yeah.
Tatum, listen, if you sat me down before the game, like we sat down and playback, Jake, and you said Tatum's going to take 18 threes tonight, I'd say, well, they're not going to win. Yeah, I mean, it's just not winning basketball. It's not the formula. I don't think Tatum needs to take 18 threes. I don't think he needs to take 10 threes. I think he's a pretty good player getting to the rim. He's long. He has massive shoulders. He's a bull, and we saw it in the finals. Like, that was probably the best Tatum, and he couldn't shoot for anything. He just decided, I'm going to win this championship. I'm going to go through everybody, and I'm going to get to the rim, and they're either going to foul me or I'm going to get the bucket. And again, 15 free throws, like you mentioned, is no joke, and there was plenty of that today. He had a great drive in overtime where he nearly dunked the ball, but he got whacked. There was a mix, but 18 threes is still a lot of threes.
It's a shitload.
Especially when you're not making them.
Shitload of threes. And I think Tatum knows, and going back to what I was saying before about like separating this one game and our inclination to like want to do a big, broader thing. And I go back to the playoffs and the finals. For the entire playoff run, he took 7.3 threes per game, which is like the perfect number. And that's playing 40 plus minutes a night. And so I think I'm very confident that he knows that like going downhill, enforcing his physicality on the game, creating advantages, spraying out the passes, that's how you win. That's how you make the right play. Like, he knows that. He mostly does that. He honestly has done that for most of the season so far as well. Plus also taking a lot of threes, because I think he, one, wants to prove everybody wrong that he can shoot, and two, actually he's working on his 3-point shot. I think both of those things are true. 18's too many. I think he knows the winning formula. We saw it in the playoffs, 40 minutes a night, 7 threes a game. Like 7 threes a game, I think is like the exact right number. That's the exact right number, and he's shooting somewhere between. And for the season, like, it's the shot selection. Because I know we have the sample size now of 8 years of like the catch and shoot numbers, the free throws, the pull-ups, 7 threes a game on like actually the good shots where you're coming off the screens and they're clean looks, not like that 3 over Isaiah Jackson for the 2-for-1. I guarantee you that the 3-point percentage for him would just completely look normal if he cut out the 4 terrible shots. But he's just not going to when it doesn't matter in the regular season. And I don't know, should I even be mad? Whatever.
You can be mad. We only get to get mad so often. You might as well get your licks in while you can. I mean, really, it is fun to be mad on the mic. It's fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Jaylen shot 1 of 11, and we're not on here being like he's the worst. Because Jaylen's threes, for the most part, weren't watch this threes. They were, wide open, here's a pass, Jaylen, go ahead and shoot it. And to be honest with you, he probably shot 1 of 11 because he's been so cold. He's probably in his own head a little bit with these threes. And when they're open, you have more time to think. You're not really relying on muscle memory as much. I mean, you saw Mathurin take a 3 in the second half where he was wide open. He was about to go up, put the ball back down, reset himself, and then missed. The more time these guys have, sometimes it's worse. It's a
100%.
really weird thing, but it's true. But when Tatum's taking these tough threes, it's just kind of taking away from the way the team is playing. There were several threes he took in this game that were good threes. I thought he had a couple great catch and shoot ones, and they just didn't drop for him. And you know what? That's fine. Those threes are awesome. And we have, to his credit and to Joe Mazzulla's credit, seen more of them this year. Last year, you never saw Tatum take a catch and shoot 3. It just wasn't what the Celtics were doing. The more you see of that, the higher percentage he's going to take, because those are probably the best threes you can take.
Tatum's just always been good at the catch and shoot stuff from the second he came into the league. And that's been one of the more encouraging things about Tatum. He's very confidently taking those shots off the catch, which is such a good shot for him. One, because he makes them, but two, no one can contest those. Like if the defense is in rotation, you're not fucking blocking the 6'9" dude with long arms shot, especially with the way that he's like quickened up his release a little bit. Tatum's fine. Tatum was like, I thought, didn't play great, but this is classic Tatum. You know, of the starters, he had the best plus minus, him and Derek, which in the Bucks game, he also led the team in plus minus as well. I got a couple of goals this season, Tam. I called you Tam. We did talk about Tim Tams in the playback earlier today, but you're not Tam, you're Sam. Jason Tatum, I would love him to win the MVP, but I don't think that's realistic. First team All NBA. I need the 4 in a row. First team All NBA.
You care about the accolades?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. We got to stack them.
Some don't.
We got to stack. We need one more title, one more final, and then for him to get the Finals MVP, and then everything else will just kind of take care of itself. Derek White All-Star is something that I've kind of like. I got close last year, I felt like. But I think that if he can get to 20 points per game, then he's going to have a real shot, assuming the Celtics are on their 80%-ish win pace, because they'll deserve 3 All-Stars again. And he's at about 20 points per game, and he had 23 tonight on like just absurd efficiency again, 88%, 8 for 9 from 3. And then Peyton Pritchard, 6th man of the year, which had another 16 points today, cashed my bet. But so we leave tonight. No one, like, in the grand scheme of things, no one's going to remember Tatum taking 18. We're going to remember him taking 18 threes. Yeah. But
I'll be like, hey, remember this?
Yeah.
I'll probably say to Jack and piss him off one day.
But he poured in 37 points on 58% true shooting. And if he has a 58% true shooting on 60% true shooting on 30 points per game, he's going to be first team All NBA again. So we'll take it. Anything you want to jump on? Anything you want to jump on that comes to mind here?
Not really. I think Joe Mazzulla is just going to use this as a learning thing and being like, listen, Indiana did this to take us out of our flow in the first half. They really limited the threes we took. We didn't get as many open looks as we had been getting, and we kind of didn't know how to react to that. Once they got out and started running in transition in the fourth quarter, things got a lot better. And when they stopped the Pacers from doing that, things got a lot better. Pacers couldn't score in the half court as easily. So I just think that stuff is the type of thing he's going to take away from this. I think he may look at why did my 2 star players combine for 27 3-point attempts too, and see what they can do about that. But I don't think he's going to be like, take less threes. He's probably just going to be like, take better threes. And that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
Which would be correct. I would also like them to take better threes. Excuse me. I think the only like big picture takeaway for me right now is like, at some point they're going to probably need to play better defense if they want to guarantee the 1 seed. Like, they can probably coast and flirt with the 1 seed without being an elite defensive team. They're going to end up being a top 10 defensive team, even if they don't try that hard. But if they lock in, because you have Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, then they can be a top 5 team pretty easily. It's just, when is that going to happen? Is this going to be the game where it turns around? I think it probably takes a little bit longer. I said to you, I think earlier in the season, I was like, how do you emotionally get up and play intense defense after you win the title? You smoke them on opening night. How you get up for the Wizards? How you going to get up for these Charlotte games? Like, you have the title now. I think that there's going to be an element of that this year. It will just like click at one point. Maybe this is it. Maybe they get pissed off when they go back to film and they watch the video of TJ McConnell fucking doing the "Are you entertained" to the crowd right before they almost collapsed, obviously. But that would be my broader takeaway. When/if does the defense come back?
I think we should all start being really mean to the Celtics. I don't think they actually care what we have to say, but if it does get back to them somehow, they're going to be like, fuck these guys. I hate them. They don't know shit. We're going to go out there and prove them wrong. I mean, the team clearly does care, specifically like when, like, let's say like Gary, for example, because Joe and him love to go back and forth in the press.
Correct.
Like, Joe loves when Gary talks shit to him because he knows there's going to be days where he can come out there and get his lick back against Gary. I think all of you in here have a responsibility to go out there and tweet and be like, Tatum can't shoot threes. Celtics don't play with any intensity on defense. If they played like they actually cared for 3 quarters, they would have won this game by 10. And Jake would have covered his 6.5.
Man, I thought they were going to do it when they went to overtime. I was like, wow, they've got all the way back to overtime. How many times do you see a team come all the way back and then just like continue to blow through them in overtime? Unfortunately, not the case.
I feel like it does not happen. Remember when I think it was the Mavs came back against the Clippers at home in the playoffs in the first round last year? They were down like $1 billion, came back, I think even took a lead, and then they didn't finish it. I guess you can only have things go your way for so long.
Yeah, true. And also, it's only 5 minutes. Like, one team like gets off to a quick start in overtime. Sometimes that's just kind of it. But yeah, and we have to run this clip because I forgot to run it before. But yeah, this is the moment.
Good D, Pritchard. Good shot.
It's all right. Need a 3.
Too little. Fuck off.
Come on, Pritchard,
literally
this is your
haven't
time.
scored the whole night. No! Yes! Yes! Oh! We're back!
Come on. Just need one stop.
I just like that I had the same
so
energy saying no first as I did with yes. That's how negative I am.
That was the energy. I'm going to have to go back and make the full energy come back, the up and the down, from the playback and post it. Send it to my Pacers people, which I'm sure they'll enjoy. But yeah, I saw someone just comment on Tillman hate watch. Yeah, it's not been a great start.
I don't think you can hate watch your own players. I say after literally like smashing
so you do.
Tatum.
Yeah, it's your favorite thing.
That's my whole thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold it still for now. He only played 7 minutes tonight, so they weren't good minutes. I didn't think. Granted, he was a +2 in those minutes. He's having a tough time, I think, impacting the game. I don't know if he needs more minutes to find more of a flow, but definitely something we're all aware of. Again, another no made 3-pointers. Jack Simone, I noticed, didn't want to turn up tonight. Interesting. But
here's what I'll say about Tillman in the hate watch. I don't think you can hate watch guys that don't play enough or play a lot of minutes because they only get so many chances to actually prove themselves. And when they're like pressing, they're like, oh man, I get 2 threes tonight. I better make them. Mm-hmm. It's kind of tough. Like, that's a lot of pressure rather than like Tatum, who just gets to take every 3 he wants. Like, he's got the green light no matter what. But like someone like Tillman, he has like a bad game for, let's say, 2 weeks straight. Like, he's just kind of out of it. Like, he's just not going to play, and his career could be over. I think supporting the bench guys is very important. And it's not really an us thing, but just in general.
Yeah, so supporting the bench guys. Won't talk about Jaden Springer today. Or, I mean, I was going to say Lonnie Walker, which was a Freudian slip because the reason Lonnie Walker's not here is because of Jaden Springer. Yeah. But tomorrow, Springer, yes, interesting. Yeah, Springer hasn't had a shot yet, but Me and Ben will be podcasting tomorrow. I think Spoonie will be there as well, actually, at 8 p.m. And then I will do a playback just for an hour or so. I think there's a Grizzlies Bucks game and a Rockets Mavericks game, which will jump around on League Pass. So make sure I'm playback.tv/Celtics blog for that tomorrow. But Sam, and also make sure you're subscribed to How About Them Celtics, best pregame show in the business. Watch out for their postgame show, which will be dropping 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Pod, actually. So it'll be part of the pod.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. Yeah. All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to everybody. Subscribe, like, sign up to the Patreon. Until next time, go Celtics.